All right, good evening, everyone. It is Wednesday, January 15th, 2025. Happy New Year, our first meeting of the year. Before we call the meeting to order, I did want to let everyone in the public and the board know that we will be recording this meeting. If you recall, about a year and a half ago, we had purchased kind of a basic entry camera. We did a small test with it. The audio was no good, so we needed to upgrade the camera, upgrade the microphone. We did have some money left. We've got 1 month left in our fiscal year, and with some of the savings from the exempt paperwork I filed on some of our open space, we had a few dollars. So over the holidays, we're able to buy this camera, new microphones. We're gonna test it out tonight, then it will be posted to YouTube. If we don't like the quality, it's too hard to understand, we don't like the picture, I am talking to 2 local producers just to see what would the cost be. That's what, Batavia is the only other township that records their meetings. They use Batavia Access TV. We unfortunately don't have community access television in our area, but I do know a few producers from working in communications before. I'll get costs to you if we want to go that route. I'm also talking to the audiovisual engineer from East Dundee who did their meeting room. That could be a price tag of $10,000 to $20,000. So something just to think about when we get to budgeting. We'll talk later. But I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order then officially at 7:02. If we could have a roll call, please. Clerk Shepard.
Trustee Schaefer?
Here.
Trustee Harney?
Here.
Trustee Romano?
Here.
Trustee Aaron's?
Here.
Supervisor Thorwald?
Here, thank you. And if we could have our Director of Programs and Administration, Katie Meyer, please lead us in the pledge tonight.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Do we have any public comment tonight? Did anybody sign up that wants to speak? No? Okay, very good. We'll move into our reports, and we'll start tonight with the Sheriff's Office, if you want to give your report first.
Hey everyone, my name is Santiago Hernandez. I'm not sure if anyone here from 2 months ago was here, but just a couple quick things. It is now 2025. All of our 2024 statistics for any reported crime are on our website. So we can go by township and the items. If you're curious, you can see all those numbers online. I don't have all those numbers with me right now. The one thing I wanted to point out, anecdotally, not that it's happening in Dundee Township overall, but over and everywhere, is leaving vehicles on to warm up. Please do not leave them unattended if it's one of those that you have a key in it and you have to leave your doors unlocked, because then they end up disappearing. We did have one last month off of, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Duchesne, off of Frontenac.
Off of Bunkoski.
Yeah, intersects with Bunkoski.
Yes.
However, somehow this car was taken from the driveway, and somehow this car ended up at the complainant's ex-husband's house. So we don't think it's an actual steal.
It may have been an inside job.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was the only
He had a
one.
key.
In Dundee. I was at the garage a couple days ago. It looks like all of our speed trailers are back in there. If anyone has complaints about speeding in a particular neighborhood and you want us to throw either one of me or a trailer, please let us know. Our non-emergency number. And also for that area within just Dundee, a lot of driving complaints regarding speeding on the weekends, impaired driving. Again, I just want to remind everyone, if you see something, please say something. It's only making us, you're only helping us make those streets safer. Also with snowfall in a lot of the areas of the township, it is posted along major thoroughways, signs saying that over 2 inches, cars are going to yank off the road. We don't issue parking tickets. We don't get any sort of funds from towing vehicles. The only cost that's associated with that is the actual tow truck that has to hook it and take it to their yard. Just so everyone knows. But please, if you guys see your neighbors in unincorporated Dundee and you see them, getting piled on with snow on their cars, tell them to move them. 99% of the time, people move them anyway. We just knock on the door. Someone comes out and moves them, but just let us know, okay?
Okay.
I'll take any questions now or later.
Any questions for Officer? No, great. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right. Speaking of snow and roads, we'll have our highway commissioner. If you could come to the podium for us and speak loudly again, because we are recording. And if you don't have anything additional to report, that's fine too.
Quiet.
All right. Very good. All right. Let's keep it that way. All right. Assessor, if you would, to the podium. Thank you.
No microphone here, okay.
No. Nice and loud. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. There's not a lot going on. It's the beginning of the year, so We've been out in the field doing end of year, beginning of year inspections on some of the partially completed properties. Also, we've been signing up for our classes. Most of them will be in Bloomington Normal this year. They're spread out through the state also, depending on everybody's schedule, their personal schedule. So some people will be going to Rockford instead. Just kind of depends what's available. Also classes. Some of us have been around long enough that we cannot repeat the same classes within a 10-year period. So the picking is getting a little bit small. Other than that, I will be getting the Ford Fusion repaired.
Okay.
If you recall, I don't know if the board knows, but the interior door handle was not working. It's been broken for about 6 months. The part has been on back order all that time. And the part finally came in, so we will be getting that taken care of.
Okay. We definitely don't want a Dukes of Hazzard situation where you have to jump in through the window, so that's good. Thank you for getting that.
I was in the car and it happened to me. I was the one that broke the handle, I guess.
Oh,
So
gosh.
I didn't know what to do, so I climbed over the console.
Oh, my
You know,
gosh.
yes, right. And then later, I scratched my head, going, wait a minute, just roll the window down. Maybe
Right.
I can open it.
I'm glad it's getting fixed. That's good.
It is a secret.
Yes, it is, for sure. All right. All right. Any questions for Assessor? No? Thank you. All right. County Board, Mr. Chris Cayos, would you like to come on?
Thank you, excuse me. Okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
Supervisor, Rohr, and trustees, thanks for letting me speak. Thanks for putting me on the agenda, it's very comfortable.
Yes.
I still share information on what's going on. I'll try not to be too boring, just a couple, three things.
Okay.
I think I had mentioned that we're having a public information meeting for the multimodal project that's going to be from from Highway 20 up through County Line Road on Randall Road to improve the unincorporated areas and to plan for improvements to make that more accessible for multimodal bicycles, pedestrians, things like that. We will be having some projects. We're planning projects right now at KDOT is at 72 in Randall, 20 in Randall, and of course I-90 over Randall, as well as some other areas along that. Of course, we only plan the parts that are unincorporated, but we're working with the villages to try and make that a whole corridor that we can get up and down that with hopefully I'll get an electric bike in the next year. So
There you go.
before I get too old, I'll be able to ride down the street.
There you
But
go.
that's coming up. The South meeting will be Tuesday, February 4th, from 5 to 7 p.m. at Elgin Community College, ECC 1700 Spartan Drive. And the North meeting is not too far, it's right up here. It's going to be at the Algonquin Village Hall,
Okay.
2200 Harnish Drive. And that will be, those are both the same week, the first week in February, the 4th at ECC, and the 6th at Algonquin Village Hall, both from 5 to 7 p.m. And members of the public can come in, they'll have the display board set up about what their, the areas, they'll show the areas that are under study, and it'll also have, you can come in from any time, it's like an open house, so it's not like there's gonna be a big presentation. They may have a slideshow that you can watch 15 minutes or something, and it'll probably recycle.
Okay.
Some of the programs do that. I haven't seen that one specifically. These are projects, these are open house number 3 and 4. We had them last year for number 1 and 2 to do the preliminary input. And then they'll have, and you can see this entire map. That's how, it actually goes in between the different projects that, which include, which I mentioned, Randall Road 72, Randall I-90, Randall Road Big Timber, and Highland Avenue intersection, that's down into Elgin, and then Randall over 20. So hopefully we can tie that all in, we get all those new projects done for the intersections. It'll, we can, when they do those, it'll tie in right as we go along, so we'll have that whole corridor available to bicycles, pedestrians, and make it more user-friendly for the residents we have right here in the north part of the county. And as I recall, I think I was the one that actually suggested this. I'll take a little credit on that one. Like a year and a half ago. So as you know, these projects go really slow, but to KDOT's credit, they jumped right on it, and they've been working on it ever since. So, and this is still, of course, early in the planning project, so lots of times it takes 8 or 10 years for things to get. As a matter of fact, it almost always takes 8 or 10 years to get things working through there. They'll have also, if you can't make those out dates, you can also get a hold of KDOT and submit by phone or on the website, and the information, the poster boards and things that will include the maps and things like this will also be, they're already available online. You can see them online.
So what does that mean for Randall and 72?
What is it?
Is it going to be more accessible to like cross with a bicycle or?
I think what the initial plans are that all of the intersections now will be accessible for crossing by bicycles and pedestrians. As in the past, you know, they just throw in a big intersection, make it bigger, and there's no way you can get across it.
Yeah, it seems like very deadly if you were to try to cross now,
Right.
Randall,
Yeah, well,
so.
I think Bradley 72 doesn't, there's no way, there's no light.
Yeah.
Pedestrian.
No.
That all should be taken into account now.
Okay.
And that's what I have been shooting for and been a proponent. I've been on the transportation committee, of course, from the very beginning since I got elected, partly because of Long Meadow Parkway and wanting to have input on that. But my push was to make sure that pedestrians can get across there. You see them every once in a while, somebody be walking along the road, any of them, 72, or
Yeah.
maybe they don't know any better, they get started down there, and that's anywhere on Randall's potentially deadly
Yes,
to be
right.
walking anywhere along there. Other information on fun things that can...
Can I ask you one
Sure,
question?
go ahead, absolutely.
The bus stops, is that PACE or is that part of what this project is, having sheltered bus stops?
That's PACE, but hopefully we can tie that in with the, especially in the improvements we do at the intersections, because there'll be a lead up to the intersection,
Okay.
turn lanes and things like that. Right now, it's very difficult, as you know. There's no place to, the way it's designed, it's supposed to be,
Right.
it started out with the original county board, designated it as a thoroughfare. There wasn't supposed to be a lot of retail, it was just get north and get south.
Okay.
And of course, it didn't accommodate just pulling over to the side or you have to, or any kind of an access road along each side.
Right.
And now, even just taking a notch out for a bus, if you could pull up there at 55 miles an hour and pull over and then try and get back into traffic on Randall,
Oh,
because
yeah.
everybody's going 55, even though it's posted at 45 most of the way.
You're going 70.
Right.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah, and we've seen that. We've had, some kids killed down in, around Silver Glen, near the high school, just a couple of years ago.
Oh, terrible.
Any other questions about that one? Okay, thank you. The King County enhancements to, along Fox River, I'm not sure I got a chance to mention this. Sometimes I get a little confused because I miss meetings. You guys only do once a month, and
Right.
I've gone going back and forth. We did get a $1.2 million grant from the American Rescue Plan, and part of that is going to be informational signs at up to 12 solar-powered informational signs along the Fox River as part of the fabulous Fox River Water Trail, so that the idea is to enhance when people come to visit us and bring their money, hopefully, to spend at the restaurants and things like that. They bring their kayaks, they can canoe up and down. When they get off, there'll be a solar-powered video screen. It'll be, usually, the plans that I've seen are away from the river just a little way. So say if you were to walk into East Dundee or St. Charles or something, there would be a video screen that would say, here's what's here, there's restaurants in this area, a map, and then maybe activities like it's our Fox River Day or Swedish Days or things up and down the river. So that's
Okay,
something
great.
that's coming along. And this part of the signage is a $300,000 grant through that. And of course, Mr. Sanchez is the chair of that, was the chair up until just recently of that committee, still is the vice chair of the ARPA.
Okay.
So for funding and things that are happening through there, he's a good source
Okay.
for that
How big are
information.
the signs going to be?
Right now, I think we've got 2 or 3 planned, and we're working with the municipalities. I think they're in, and I apologize, maybe I don't have that, because we worked it through there. I don't think I put it in here. I just printed out a little section here. It's right now, 5 launch sites will improve right now. Public access locations in Montgomery, Batavia, South Elgin, East Dundee, and Carpentersville. And we're working with the municipalities if they're interested in having it. It's sort of a commercial thing, but we don't want to deter from the beauty of the river by
Yeah.
putting it right on the edge.
That's
We do
what I'm
have-
picturing,
we
the
do-
beautiful natural river.
I don't know if you know
and
Mavis
the
Page,
digital
she's-
stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Pull over here.
Right.
Much like the highways nowadays that can't have brand new signs that are just out there displaying a lot of lights and ads and things. These will be very aesthetic or relatively aesthetic and not right on the river. That'd be more like, I think it's, the one I saw was in, the mock-up was in St. Charles, right in their park there, the Monument Park, or it's a statue park where they have the statues and the artwork there. And it'll be 300 feet off, 200 feet off the river, so that you're definitely getting off and you want to see what's going on in St. Charles or in Carpentersville, and in through our township here.
Okay.
You'll get off, you'll see it way on the way into downtown, maybe over to the bar right up here on the river.
Yeah.
Rosie's.
Rosie's.
It's Rosie's, yeah. Here, Rosie's this way,
Right.
downtown this way, because it would be in an area where maybe you can't see everything, we'll say 2 blocks this way, you can go find things that'll be fun to do.
And there's going to be a handicap accessibility thing, right?
Yeah, we're going to improve the access.
I
This
heard
is part
that
of
at the
whole
front
thing.
meeting last week.
Yeah. On the front meeting?
Front.
Oh, front meeting, yes. Yeah, I'm sorry I missed that.
Here in the-
Yeah. Yeah, Karen Miller's been the organizer of that from the county all along, so if you guys have any questions, she's very accessible and is a wealth of information.
Great.
It's amazing how much she's put together with that. Okay, that's that, and then, of course, then we finish with something really fun, taxes. Just an update, because you know that we will be having a referendum that's going to be on the April 1st ballot, and we as public officials can, or with the county here, can only state the obvious facts, and that it's going to be it's going to be on the ballot. Excuse me, it's going to be on the ballot. It will be it's listed as a 0.75% sales tax, which is 75 cents on $100. It's for property, tangible personal property, and it'll raise something like $56 million a year for safety, public safety, crime prevention, detention, firefighting, police, medical, ambulance, or other emergency services. And it'll cover everything, those personal property bought, but it will not include groceries, car sales, and prescription drugs. They're exempt. And that's the basic facts about that, other than it's coming up. April 1st, 2025, consolidation election. And if you see the writing, it'll be Kane County Special County Retailers Occupation Tax for Public Safety 2025 referendum.
Okay, and you may not be able to answer this legally, but so it's 50 million plus a year for public safety. Is that to enhance, like an addition, or will then 50 million from the current public safety be filtered back through the county for other projects, or?
I'm not sure what the exact division
Okay.
will be.
Okay.
It's not going to be it's not going to be 100% on top of everything, because what we have right now, what we're facing, I think, in the county is they call it a fiscal cliff.
Right.
We've had the ARPA money that was able to fill in for a lot of this, like we've done a terrific amount of work in public safety with the chillers and the heaters and just stuff that's been has been in there about 30 years and it's shot.
Right.
And so we're spending a lot of money on that, and this will help defer those costs, because that is running out and we'll still have to maintain all of that equipment. So I expect, and I'm not an expert on that either, on exactly where it's going to end up, but it's not going to be on top of everything. But we know that we can't keep going where we're going, especially with all the unfunded mandates we got with this new Safety Act stuff.
Right.
That, we're going to be running into a shortage very shortly, by 2026.
Okay.
If we don't have more revenue or combined revenue and cut in costs and things like that.
Okay, very good.
But that's part of what that's about, I think.
All right, well, thank you. All right, any questions for Mr. Kios? No? All right,
Sorry
well,
that was so long.
it's all right, good information, appreciate you being here. We'll go over to Carpentersville County Board Member, but also Administrator Sanchez. Anything you'd like to add? I saw you submitted your report for the Mental Health Board.
Yeah, I can give that now.
That'd be great if you could go to the podium just for the recording. Thank you.
You have a copy of this in front of you. One milestone, we approved 7 of the 8 work plans for the 2025 grant program. One of them still needed a little bit of revision, and we're hoping to have that up for approval at the February meeting. but this is a very good milestone. This is our second grant cycle that we'll be funding. So we'll start to see invoices coming in and services provided at our next meeting. At the last meeting, the board also approved an allocation not to exceed $30,000 for the ride and cane program. So any of the eligible rides that come through will be reimbursed by the mental health board. And the first invoice, well, the first resolution for approval covered March through September of 2024, and it totaled $16,042.61. So it's not nothing, it's something to help offset the cost of the program. And talks are still underway with the Carpentersville Police Department on the police social worker program. I just had a meeting with Police Chief Shaver and his team just to really get into the details of things. So hopefully by the February meeting, the mental health board will be voting on approving an allocation for that program as well. And that will lead to the second phase where we'll start to draft IGAs with Carpentersville, and they'll have IGAs drafted with all the other municipalities. The concept is that it'll be one full-time employee addition to what Carpentersville already has, which is just one employee, and that employee will spend half their time addressing Carpentersville calls that are eligible for mental health funding. The other half of the time will be for the rest of the municipalities. So their main social worker won't cover any of the mental health related calls essentially. It'll just go to this new employee if approved. So I can answer any questions you might have. Other than that, this is my report.
Okay, no, thank you for the ride and cane and for the work on
Sure.
it.
30,000, are you taking over the ride and cane, or do we still share?
No, we're gonna still budget for it next year, but we were able to find those rides that are eligible to be covered by mental health funds. And Administrator Sanchez was able to kind of help us come up with a report every month when we get our ridership. We'll go through that, our caseworker will go through that, and we'll be able to then turn in our invoices, kind of a fee for service essentially for those rides. So I think we just got October, so cane is a little bit, here we are January and we're getting the invoices for October, so it's a little off, but hopefully they'll catch up soon. I know they're working on getting that. I know Sue's like, oh, they've been saying that for a long time, but hopefully that's gonna come. But so you'll see in our financials when we get there that our balance is looking a little healthier, but again, we know there are some months still, and we'll turn those in as soon as we get them. So thank you. That's good.
Yeah, it averages about $2,200 a month. So that's why we set the allocation for $30,000, because it's not likely to go over, but it could, and we can go back.
Yeah, and we spend between $10,000 and $15,000 right now a month. So it's a small portion, but it definitely helps. So yeah, so thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to our open space report. Our foreman did turn in a report. It is on our website already, but if our director of programs could give us a quick update on open space and some activity that's been happening there.
Sure. So we just had our Friends of Dundee Natural Area meeting last week, and I look to them as advisors for us with our open space properties and how we want to use our funds. So we're coming to the end of our fiscal year, and we have some funds to use still. And so we hashed it out on what's the best uses for those funds. And we decided we're going to fund a project at Library Springs. A long time ago, it used to be a gravel pit. And so the bottom of the pit still has these big spoil piles of rocks and dirt. So we are going to hire a contractor to smooth it out so we can make it pretty. And then also the pool, Dolphins Cove, the water, when they're done with the pool water, they drain it down into Library Springs, and it goes right into this wetland. So we also want to hire this contractor to dig a pit under the culvert where the water comes in to catch that water first and filter it before it goes into the wetland. And then the other project we want to do is contract to get help with cedar removal at the prairie at Raceway Woods up at the racetrack. That was originally prairie, and cedars can be very invasive in prairies. They'll take them over, they'll choke out all the native plants that are supposed to be there in wildlife, so we're going to get those removed. That was a great meeting we had, and we also talked about how we want to spend our funds for the next fiscal year, projects that FDNA wants to fund for the township. And then also these projects we're focusing on, then what grants would go along with that. Now, the last few years, we have had an increase in grants. I'm very proud of that. My hard work goes into grants. So I'm looking forward to a bright future for open space. We've had some new volunteers at our work days. That's excellent. We always can use more. We did get a proposal from a solar company to lease open space land to put up a solar farm up to 45 acres. But the law prohibits us from generating revenue from open space or selling open space lands. Is that correct?
That's my understanding.
Yes, so we won't be able to do that. I'll just go ahead and move on to the other programs.
Okay, thank you.
So for emergency assistance, we've had nobody this last month, so we've not helped with any evictions.
Good.
GA, general assistance, we still have 2 clients, but as of next month, we might be down to 0.
Okay.
Ride and Cane has had a fare increase for any trips over 10 miles. Each additional mile will be at 50 cents extra. And our caseworker, Patricia, she's already sent letters out to all of our residents who are in that program, so they're aware of those changes. And it's always good to be able to do a mass mailing like that, because we'll get mail back, and that means, oh, that person's no longer using the program, so then we can remove them. And then for the cemetery, the new columbaria will be installed within the next month. So that's great. It'll be here before the fiscal year ends. And it's perfect timing because the old columbaria only has 20 spaces left. And we already have 2 spaces, deposits have been paid for on the new one.
Great.
Those are all my updates.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. All right, we'll move on to our trustees. Trustee Schaefer, any report?
No updates.
All right, Trustee Harney, I know there's an article about reducing speed limit, and Highway Commissioner, if you could come up in case because I forgot to get an update on Bonkoski, but I know, go ahead, Trustee Harney, with your update, if you want to talk about the speed limit.
Yeah, this is the article. I saw this actually on Capital Facts is where I found it.
Okay.
And I was skeptical when I read that the city of Chicago is considering, or was considering, reducing the speeds in the city to 25 miles per hour. And I kind of did an eye roll when I first read about it. They voted it down yesterday, or they tabled it for a while, whatever they do, the city council does. But when I read the stats about how many pedestrian lives have been saved in other cities like New York, it's really significant. And again, I know when Dave brought this up with the county about Bonkoski Road, I was like, really? You know, because I drive down that road all the time. And I have to say, going slower didn't interest me. But I have to say that this gave me great pause. I really recommend reading this. I got this copy if anybody wants it. I've read it several times. But there's a significant savings. And for those of you, I think I've mentioned this before, pedestrian deaths are rising throughout the country, especially after COVID. It's been, apparently, we're far less concerned about killing each other. I don't know. But whatever it is, slowing down really makes a difference. It really, really does. So, and Dave, you want to, I know you put it in your report about the county and everything, or I can say it if you want.
Do you have any updates? I know West Dundee, right, is anxious to lower that speed limit on Bonkoski. Anything that we need to be doing as a township, or it's in their hand? We have to get the study. Okay, that's fine.
So they have to wait for warmer weather before they.
Okay, so we'll touch base back in the spring about it for sure. I know the city of Wheaton a few years ago when I was with them, they lowered from 35 to 25. We did a Drive 25 campaign, and you wouldn't believe the amount of support that the residents gave that. The residents wanted that, and it was a success. So yeah, it was good.
It can be done.
It can be done for sure. All right, Trustee Romano, any updates?
No, that's me.
Okay. Oh, sorry, you have another one? No, you're fine.
I'm sorry, Susan.
You're fine.
No, I just wanted to say, I went to the work day this morning at Raceway Woods.
Yeah, good.
And so, first time I've been back and been able to work in well over a year, so that was really fun for me. But I didn't expect to see anybody there. There were like almost 20 people.
Wow, that's
And
great.
part of those was the staff, and of course, the Keeblers, who are like, I cannot believe that they go out there day after day, but it was like really cold. We had a huge fire, and we got a lot done. And we are just chewing through those cedars on that upper part of the track. So I was really impressed. So.
That's
felt good
wonderful.
to be
Thank
there.
you. When you have a good group like that, it is amazing how much you can do in a short amount of time,
Oh,
too.
yeah, just
So
for a couple of hours.
We're so thankful for our volunteers.
Yeah.
Right. All right, sorry. All right, Trustee Romano, no report. All right, Trustee
No,
Aaron's, any
no
update?
report.
Okay. All right, good. I think we will move on then. We have several minutes. They should be in a paper clip together. So I'm going to go ahead and start with a motion and a second to approve the December 18th, 2024 Board of Trustees regular meeting minutes. Is there a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
A motion by Trustee Schaefer and a second.
Second.
Second, any discussion or updates for the clerk?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye, okay.
What set was that?
That was December 18th, 2024. All right, and we will move on. A motion and a second for the December 5th, 2024 special meeting minutes.
So moved.
A motion by Trustee Schaefer and a second.
Second.
Second by Trustee Romano. Any notes on the special meeting minutes for the clerk? All right, if not, all in favor, aye. Aye, and none opposed, thank you. Now we're going back, our decennial committee, because it will not meet for 10 more years, and we would like to get these posted. Motion and a second for the October 18th, 2023 decennial committee meeting minutes.
So moved.
A motion by Trustee Harney and a second.
Second.
Second by Trustee Schaefer. All right, no discussion or notes. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, none opposed. And last but not least, our last decennial committee meeting, which was November 20th, 2024. A motion and a second for approval, please.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Schaefer and a second.
Second.
Second by Trustee Romano. Any notes? All right, all in favor, aye? Aye, and none opposed. Thank you very much for all of those. Thank you, clerk, and we'll get those posted to the website this week. I will get a motion in a second to approve the treasurer's report, and then we'll take it, turn it over to Tom, our accountant. So motion in a second for the treasurer's report dating through December 31st, 2024.
So moved.
A motion by Trustee Harney and a second.
Second.
A second by Trustee Aaron's. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, we'll take a look at our financials. We're 10 months into our fiscal year. We're 83% through the year. We'll use that as our baseline as we go through this. So on the revenue side, overall, across all the funds, the township has collected just shy of $4.2 million so far this year. That's 88% of the total budget. If we take out some of our some bigger items, we had, the $300,000 for the cemetery fence grant that hasn't come in, that was budgeted. Some other transfers to and from capital. If we pull those out, we're well into the mid-90 percentile in terms of revenue for the year. So looking good there. On the expense side, total expenses about $2.65 million. That's only 57% of the budget. Once again, same thing. We've had, on the road and bridge side, some infrastructure projects that haven't come in yet, some other capital projects, the cemetery fence payment. But if we back all that out, we are still well below that 83% threshold that I'd mentioned. All the funds are looking good. All the subcategories are looking good across the board. So overall, we're currently showing a surplus 10 months into that fiscal year, a little bit over $1.5 million. Gives us an ending fund balance of $5,567,820. So as we get towards the end of the year here, the township is looking very healthy financially.
Okay, very good. Just some things to point out that have been updated since did we get these updates in before? I can't remember. I think I just did them yesterday. So again, and you'll see this in next month. So Director Meyer and I have been going through line items of where everything was coded as we get into final budget process. We want to make sure that everything, that we are budgeting correctly next year. So there were a couple items that were in IT services, which is on page 6.
Is this the budget?
Yeah, no, this is just the financial report.
okay.
And again, everything, you'll see it reflected, but I just want to let you know, I had the accountant move some things. We had a couple capital items that actually, that accidentally got coded to the IT expenses, but it should be a capital. So a few things like that. So again, we'll send you out probably one more report before we finalize budget, just so we know exactly where we landed. And so again, there's just little tweaks like that that are happening. That 16,000 from the mental health board, that's already reflected in this. So we're good on those fronts, but just wanted to point that out. So we'll go ahead. Oh,
Probably that other
Yeah.
thing to point out, we received that $70,000 settlement.
Correct.
So that brought down legal fees.
yes. Yeah, so we're in a good, healthy shape for sure, which again is helpful as we go into, it's very comforting as we go into the budget for next year.
And you have not gotten any update from the state as far as them cutting us a check?
I have not. So we're so hopeful that it's going to hit this fiscal year, but we'll have to talk about that. If it doesn't, how do we want to carry that over?
Okay.
Okay, so good. All right, so we'll do a roll call vote for approval of the treasurer's report, please, Clerk Shepherd.
Trustee Schaefer?
Yes.
Trustee Harney?
Yes.
Trustee Romano?
Yes.
Trustee Aaron's?
Yes.
Supervisor Thrower?
Yes, and this also, the financials can also be found on the website as well, for those that may be interested in doing a deeper dive. Next, a motion and a second to audit and approve our most recent bills.
So moved.
A motion by trustee Schaefer and a second.
Second.
Second by trustee Harney. Any questions on the bills for the past month? All right, if not, roll call. Clerk Shepherd, please.
Trustee Schaefer?
Yes.
Trustee Harney?
Yes.
Trustee Romano?
Yes.
Trustee Aaron's?
Yes.
Supervisor Thrower?
Yes, thank you. We'll now move to old business.
Could I just make a comment?
yes,
Then
go
I was just going to make, because I was going to ask the assessor about some charges.
Of course.
But a lot of charges were documented as like 1224, but those are just coming from statements, I think, from the credit invoices. So those charges weren't actually done on those dates, most likely, but
Right.
those are, I was just like, why are all these charges on the same date and nobody's working? But, so, it's just.
Is it for,
in the
was it for the
files.
WEX, for the gas? I don't know of how they invoice, or is that on the credit card? Maybe that was the
It
date
was
of the
just
credit
in
card
the-
statement.
Yeah, on the credit card.
Okay.
And they manually entered it into the system, so
Okay,
that's not the
I think there
actual.
were some bills even from the beginning of November that were dated 12/24.
okay, so we'll take a look at that and clean up if we need to.
So it's
Okay.
not the date of the transaction, it's the date that. the
That it gets
credit card
entered,
invoice.
yeah, the date it gets paid. Makes sense? All right, thank you. All right, so under old business, I have approval of the budget, but like I said, I would like to maybe just discuss the general budget and also the road district. I would prefer to vote on it if you all are comfortable, once we've got one more month of data in. And then again, I will post the draft so that it's posted for 30 days. We'll get that up tomorrow on the website, so it's made public. Again, I think it's in a good place, but there just might be a few little things that we want to tweak. You know, the cost of the audit always goes up a little we know the insurance is going up by 10%. So again, the more hard numbers we have, I think the better shape will be to do a final vote. So now this is the part that's clipped together. We'll go through this, and our accountant, again, we won't need to do a vote, but it's really just for discussion. And I'll try to scroll along. It is a little small, so I don't know how my eyes will do. Yeah, so- but again, you have it in a hard, you got it.
Yeah, should be
Yeah.
that one.
So we're going to start with the profit and loss budget versus actual for the town fund. It's page 1 of 3. I think the biggest thing to point out from what we had sent out earlier and last month is, talking with the accountants, the state replacement tax is projected to go down again. So we've taken that from 65,000, unfortunately, down to 50. So that does affect our revenues for next year, but we've adjusted in other places. So anything else about the revenues, Tom, that you'd like to share?
No, I think that was the only change on that side. We adjusted it for the town and road and bridge. We're seeing the replacement taxes across all districts coming down, so
Okay, all right.
we wanted to be conservative with that.
All right, very good. And so when you look at supervisor division, the personnel expense, of course, that's, stayed the same as what we looked at last time. The contractual, which is everything from maintenance of building down to service charge, I don't think we had any major changes there. Again, I'm recommending, even with the help of the mental health board, ridership is growing for Riding Cane. I'd like to keep that at 100,000 so that we can keep the program moving forward, but that is a place I know that we've had to look at just because the costs have tripled. But we are going to keep it in at 100,000 for now, unless anyone else would like to shift those funds.
Well, don't we, I mean, we keep it all within a year, right? I mean, I know that the bills come in late.
Right,
and
yes.
Everything, and you do your magic and massage everything.
Yes.
And it
So
comes out
even if
right.
we, yeah.
So I'm thinking we have surplus money in the budget, which what I always worry about with that is tax challenges. If we put more into this, we don't spend it unless we get the bill. So I'm not worried about us,
Right. So it's
like-
better to keep the 100.
I would rather up that because then that gives us less of a surplus and then probably a more realistic estimate of what that expense is going to be.
Okay. Thoughts on where you'd want to see it, or wait till we get that, maybe 2 more invoices from the county for the last?
Yeah, let's wait for the
Okay,
invoices.
that's fine. We just got October, I think, so hopefully we'll
Yeah,
get
so that'll be a
November or
little,
something.
we should be able to extrapolate.
Okay,
Right.
Tom should be able to extrapolate.
all right, sounds good. All right, so yeah, the commodities expenses, not much change there. If we go to page 2 of 3, we're saying 23,000 again to move over to capital, but again, we can, if we need some of that, we can certainly.
Yeah, if I may, that was,
Go ahead.
so we had 5,000 budgeted just as a, miscellaneous capital. The remaining was just me moving any surplus to capital to just zero out the overall fund. So, like Supervisor said, there is some funds that we can move accordingly.
Okay, great. Assessor, I know do you want to talk about, if you do, please again come to the podium, but anything, I know we had one little change, that Ford Fusion can't hold on forever, so, budgeting for a vehicle for next year, and again, so that's coming out of capital. I don't know if you and Tom want to explain that. That's really the only change, I think, from yours, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I have 2 items for capital budgets. One is $5,000 for computers. Our computer service company gave me a report indicating a lot of computers were somewhat dated, and I'm paring that way down. And we're just looking at 2 desktops and possibly a laptop, so about $5,000 for IT computers, electronics. But I am also looking at $40,000 budgeting for vehicle purchase. I have been putting away $13,000 a year for the past 4 years. And that line item got moved to town fund last year, I believe, and we postponed it to this year for capital purchase of a vehicle. I'm looking, I don't know if we're going to talk about vehicle or not, or I'm thinking something of Ford Mavericks kind of caught my eye. It's a 4-seater pickup, small pickup truck hybrid. That's what I was contemplating. Possibly a Ford Mustang electronic, Tesla electronic.
So the problem is we don't have a charging station here.
Right.
So, and I don't know if we want to make that investment, as this is a condo association, you're right? And so I just, the challenges of that.
We could, what we could look at doing is getting a company, I mean, East Dundee had a company approach them, and I don't know if they did it, but to put charging stations in public places.
Okay.
And so I don't know if they ever did it, but that's, and we have a lot of time to think about this
Okay.
and everything. But the other thing is, a charging station, I mean, we've got that little garage out there.
Yeah.
And so a charging station is a couple $100. Well, no, I don't know that. I think that's
I just
what
don't
it
know
is.
if there's electric all the way out there, so running the electricity, and then again, does it tie in, because we're a shared building, you know what I'm saying? I just,
Yeah.
it might be a little tricky, but it would be cool if we could do it.
Minimum 240.
You have to have 240, but you don't have to, but that's how it charges quickly. And, as we found out before, the garage is hooked up to the lights in the parking lot.
Okay.
Because we found out that if the lights were not on in the parking lot at one
It
point, the
wouldn't.
garage door didn't work.
Oh, my goodness.
That was,
Remember that one.
that was
Oh.
highly entertaining, I
Oh,
thought.
wow.
I mean, it was just this
That
big
does not
mystery.
surprise me, but
No, it
okay.
didn't. So, but the lines are there,
Yeah.
is the point here. And
Okay.
that can be, an electrician can
great.
fix all that. So we could put a charging station in there, and I just don't know. I think they're like a couple $100, but I could be wrong. I don't
Oh,
know.
wow, that's,
So it's not bad at all.
Yeah.
And believe me, we are driving an electric car. Not buying gas is absolutely amazing.
that's awesome.
I gotta think they're a lot more expensive than a couple $100. Electrician cost you more than that just to come out and look at the job.
That's true.
That's true. But you got to figure what you're paying for gas, too. I mean, that's
Well,
part
I
of the
know, I'm not
cost-benefit
arguing
analysis.
that point, I'm just
Yeah.
saying, you're saying it's gonna cost a couple $100, that's what I'm saying.
But I'll talk to East Dundee and see, maybe find out about that company first of
Yeah.
all, and then we can research it as you get closer to making your decision and look at,
And don't-
what the best value
Don't
is.
you think you'd want it closer to the building in case of bad weather? You got a storm out there, you see this poor guy running all the way to the shed out there.
I was thinking you park the car in the shed at night and plug the sucker in.
Yeah, as long as you
and
plug it in at night, you should be fine.
Yeah,
You're
that's
not
pretty
going
much-
more than 6 miles from in any direction, so it should be,
Yeah.
should be good.
But
Yeah,
it is a
of
good
course.
option for the township.
Right.
You know, and one thing I would like is an SUV or a vehicle that's higher.
Okay,
I don't want a sedan sitting down.
Okay.
We're out taking pictures a lot from the vehicle.
okay.
Yeah. Mine, the one that I have has a higher clearance than a CRV. Not a big one, but it has a higher, and the other thing, and it's really roomy. And so,
Oh, great.
it's,
Okay.
yeah. and-
We'll
and
explore
I think-
that
I think
as it gets closer.
last time I checked, it's like a $55,000 car, 52 or something like that. But we could, we get discounts with the state and stuff like
Okay,
that.
right.
So that would be, and, yeah, with the price of gas.
Yeah, I didn't price out, I'm saying 40,000 and that's like a hybrid cost.
All right.
Yeah.
I think 50 is more in line for.
For all electric.
Oh, yeah, I
Okay.
think it's all
Well, we'll-
electric, yeah.
Did you get your last car, didn't you buy that locally, or did you go through the state
I got locally
program?
through, it used to be Spring Hill Ford for Fusion and then Huntley for the Edge. And it was through the state program.
Mhm.
But they're not always good on prices. They should be now. Inventory is up.
Right,
So,
Yeah.
good.
But I did not price out an EV.
Okay.
So I don't know.
All right. Well, any questions for the assessor on his
I
budget?
have a question for Tom.
Yep.
Did we put that in the budget yet?
Yeah,
Is that under, I can't.
so it's on the, if we go to the capital tab, at the very bottom of the screen,
Oh, man, I can't.
right there.
I can't read it, but if you can.
It is in there.
I'm so sorry.
It's in there.
We'll get you the hard copy. All right, thank you.
All right, any other questions about the assessor's budget regarding, other than vehicle?
All right, thank you. All right, then, moving on is the clerks. Any questions on the clerks? Bottom of page 2. Again, very, probably the most simple of the departments, so thank you. All right, and then we've got open space, which is on page 3 of the town fund. Katie and I have gone over this with Kirby and with Dan, and if you see, we were able to take open space projects from 20,000 up to 35,000 for next year, which is great news. And part of that is the real estate taxes. Again, with the decennial, some of our properties were classified, and a lot of those exemptions have come through this year, which is a great savings for us. We still do pay real estate taxes on the one house off of Binney there, so we have to allot for that. But we do receive rent, so that helps balance out. So any questions on the open space? We did maybe have to, the garbage removal, we may bid out for that. That seems to be an increasing charge at the cemetery and open space for the dumpsters, so we may rebid that. All right, very good. We will move on to, what tab is, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to navigate this.
Two to the right. One more.
One more?
Yeah. You want, here.
Is it the GA? Oops, I think my pages are out of order. Oh, I think I printed out the wrong one. Okay, so general assistance, we're really keeping the same based on what we've seen. We increased emergency assistance funding because this year, again, we were finding more people that were facing evictions, especially, at the kind of last summer, early fall. We're going through that money quickly. So again, that's really the only difference from this year is just increasing the assistance for our emergency assistance program. What's the next tab? Maybe I can follow.
Cemetery.
Okay, next is cemetery. Any questions on the cemetery fund? Again, no major changes. For the columbaria that Director Meyer was talking about, that final payment for that will be in this fiscal year. And then it should take several years before we're ready to order our next one. So again, no major changes there.
Road and bridge.
And then we're gonna move over to road and bridge. So any questions for our highway commissioner? Dave, I know you made a last minute change. Anything notable that would affect?
No, I think the only change was adding some, reserve some expenses for safety supplies. I think that was the only change on that side.
Oh, right, okay. All right, very good. Mental health board, nothing has changed since our last meeting, so we're good there with the $500,000 levy and no changes there. And then capital, anything we need to know?
Capital just includes.
Just the car?
Yeah, the car and the computers that Mike had mentioned, and then the budgeted capital spend from the cemetery, which includes the fence and, I don't have the detail for are they getting a truck
For,
for the cemetery? Some
I
vehicles?
can't remember if
I didn't have
it's,
the
they got the dump truck this past year. No, it's not I have it written down and I can't remember at the top of it, but it is a big piece of equipment. Is it a Kubota? I can't remember, I apologize. So, but yeah, they have some capital it's a larger piece of equipment. All right, so if no questions. Like I said, we don't need to vote. This will be posted publicly on the website, and then we'll go ahead and we'll take the final vote at our next meeting. Are there any other projects or ideas? Again, we talked about, if we bring in a professional videographer, there might, or, kind of redo this room for audiovisual, there would be a little cost to that, but you see we have about $20,000 to play with in the town fund. Any other projects that you all would like to see or that you've wanted to see that we just haven't got to that we can look at? Otherwise, I do think we're in pretty good shape, but.
The trails at Jelky Creek.
Okay, trails at Jelky. That is gonna be a big one. That's like 100,000 plus. So, but we will still work with FD&A hopefully to get some grants. And as I've said, before, if that's something at any time, we need to open up the budget and we've got the reserves and because we got to get that matching grant. I think this board would be in support of something like that because we know that's an important project. So,
Just regarding this building in general.
Yes.
Are we going to have some unexpected expenses because of the common spaces?
Yes, so.
Just with.
Yeah, so there's a lot of complexities with this building that are still kind of ongoing, and there's some funds that have become available to fix some of those common areas. But we did just have a meeting of the Board of Managers, which the township is a part of, and we're going to try to tackle some of those. We have to do kind of the life safety issues first, updating the exit signs, those kind of things, pull stations, but then we've got a full set of bathrooms that needs remodeling downstairs, the individual rooms. It looks like some of these may become available for sale, so we'll talk about that. So again, that would be something that probably when we start planning our annual town meeting, we'll want to get on the agenda that, if we want to buy some rooms or we want to buy some property, that we get the blessing of the residents for that. I do foresee a little bit of a dues increase with our HOA dues. They're about $650 a month right now. I think that's going to be, we've been doing the original budget for this building, I think since 2013, 2014. So of course, insurance has gone up, the cost of the elevator maintenance has gone up, cleaning cost, everything, right? So I see for all owners a little bit of an increase. I've built that into the budget already, but we may have a special assessment. Again, this budget is our guide, but if we had to, if there was an emergency situation, certainly, we have money in reserves. By law, we have to have a certain amount to cover our payroll every 2 weeks. There's a certain amount that has to stay in our reserves, but we have some that, if we have to open up the budget for an amazing grant opportunity, for a building crisis, we can do that, certainly. So we should have comfort level there. Anything else that I'm not thinking about with the budget?
I don't think so.
Okay, very good. We don't have any new business, and I'm thrilled to say we do not need to go into executive session. So I will call for this meeting to be adjourned at 7:54 p.m. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Trustee Schaefer. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. All right, meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming.